Jon, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Especially now at this time, we're heading playoffs and time is very valuable. So thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for asking me. Appreciate it.
2019 NBA champs.
That's a good honor.
Well, no, the longest, right?
Yeah.
The longest reigning champs. I guess
that's
it's
true.
carryovers.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy. How was that? I guess like there's a lot we can probably talk and dissect, but just like the first thing that comes to mind, how long have you been with the team now?
so I've been with the Raptors for 11 years. So
Wow.
I just started my 11th year.
Good years, bad years, and
You know, there
years.
were some dark days. You know,
Yeah.
like the dark years, where at the very beginning, when you're when you're playing games and they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
By the time All-Star or maybe even January comes around and your record's not very good and the glimmer of playoffs is so far away.
Yeah.
It's tough. Those
Wow.
are tough days. But for example, when I first started as an assistant, at the end of the season, you're done in April, and so everybody leaves. And at that time, I still had a home in Vancouver, so I would leave in April, and I wouldn't even have to come back to Toronto until September.
Wow.
There was nothing to do.
Yeah.
And they might say, go visit so and so in California, so it's only a 3-hour flight. But now, because we've had quite a few years now with a lot of success.
Good.
Like I don't have very much of a summer anymore. Once the season ends and you go into playoffs and you go deep, or then pretty soon the draft workouts start happening, and then after the draft workouts, you start working for summer league. So the amount of time you're off is getting shorter and shorter. As you guys probably know too.
Yeah. You mentioned that like after you guys won last year, you took like whatever couple days off and you were right back into it.
So the way it worked, so we won on I think it was a Thursday or Thursday. We won the Thursday night. So we were in Golden State. We won there. We partied Thursday night, and then partied Friday we went to Las Vegas, and then we came back on the Sunday, and then by the Tuesday, then we had the parade, and then we were back to work.
Wow.
And that was it.
Quick turnaround.
It was quick. Like we had to start looking at the draft.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So it was by that time man.
All worth it.
All worth it.
All worth
All worth
it.
it. All worth it.
Kind of makes me like feel a certain way.
But you know what though, like the thing that I really something that was really impactful for me was after getting that feeling of winning. There's no other way. Like that's all I want to do is just win every time. Like because I can't go the other way anymore.
Yeah.
Once you have a taste of it, it's just like
Wow.
makes you want to work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care about not having holidays. As long as we get to the finals again and win this thing, it's amazing. It's like now you're
Life changing, I'm assuming.
yeah, life changing. Financially, I have a bonus in my as part of my salary, so it's life changing.
That's cool.
So
That's really cool.
yeah,
That's amazing.
so.
Was it like anything you remember that, like culture-wise, like strength coaches talk about changing the culture, like the buy-in of the players and the program and etc. Like, what were some like traits or characteristics that you've seen change over the span of a few years that, in your opinion, might have helped culminate to winning a championship? Of course, talent is a big factor.
Yeah, talent obviously, but we got to the point where our coaches and our staff and management, we would have daily communication sessions. Like our medical team, we meet almost every morning, and we go over each player. It's like, hey, anybody hurt? Anybody have any issues? And that way, that has changed. Another thing that we've done is we have a program, so we call it the Accelerator program, and it's for the development guys. So we have a handful of coaches, medical, front office, and everybody talks about how's he doing, how can we make him better, how do we, and we do it like we meet once every 2 weeks about, you know,
like a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes from everybody. It's not just, you know, I'm trying to take care of him from the strength point and not even communicating to other coaches. And so yeah, and I think it's worked. And the other thing that's really helped us a lot too is our G League team. I mean, our G League team is 40 minutes away or half an hour away. It's by the airport.
You guys have been very successful too, right?
Yeah,
right?
You know, we've had a lot of success with that, and you know, we can send somebody that hasn't been playing with the main team. It's like, hey, you go play in the G League and then come back for practice tomorrow. You know, so they still live at home.
Yeah,
and they don't have to move to another city, you know, area or whatever. So, I mean, that has impacted a lot. Like the guys that went through that G League was Fred Van Vliet, right? Norm Powell, Pascal, and that helped their development. You can't, you know, we all know the only way to get better at basketball is playing basketball.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And if you're not getting those minutes, it's tough to develop.
Pressure situations and actually like putting the ball in the hoop.
You know, it's so different. Like there's a big difference between starter minutes and bench minutes.
Okay.
Right. Because if you're playing with starter minutes, you're playing against the best guys in the league.
Yeah.
At that time.
For sure.
Right. And so your level of basketball is increased significantly.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you get everybody talks about their 10,000 hours, but you're getting your 10,000 hours as a starter against starters.
It's almost like the quality of the time.
The quality of time and who you're playing against is important.
Wow.
And you're most likely finishing a game because you're trying to win the game every time in a pressure environment. I mean, you know, in the NBA, as you know, 11 years in the league, you know, that's like a lot of times you're down 20 doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean
it's a crazy league.
I'm still scared.
Like,
we're up 20. I'm like, come on, let's keep it up. You know,
yeah.
You know, like you said, this league is just like all of a sudden people get on a run, boom.
Yeah,
it's a great game.
Yeah, it is
exciting, right?
It is.
I say that on the bench all the time. It's like either winning by a lot and then the team closes on us, or vice versa.
Right,
you know,
right.
they're winning by a lot and then they close up. I'm always like, there we go, folks. We got ourselves a game. I always like play this in my head, you know, like there it is.
You're getting on a run.
Yeah,
there we go.
We got ourselves a game.
Like our game was close, right? When we played.
You guys were always up, but like we came back.
Yeah, you guys came back, and you almost closed it out too. You guys got within like 3 points, and
it's fun.
And we were up like quite a bit, right? And so like you said, the emotions that you go through in one game can just like, you know, am I relieved or am I anxiety level all of a sudden rises?
Did you see any particular like cool things, maybe a story you can remember, or like just people holding each other accountable on that championship year, or like even like some sort of like hierarchy between rookies and vets, and like people holding them accountable to a higher standard, etc.?
Yeah, you know, like Kyle Lowry, he stepped up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was on a different level all the time. Like, man, that guy, I can't say enough about that guy.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, he's the one that says, "Come on, let's focus in," and gets everybody going, and
the leadership. Everybody.
The
talks
leadership,
about.
and that was him, right?
Wow.
You know, I know we you know, Kawhi helped us obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, Kyle Lowry on that final game, he scored 18 straight points.
Yeah.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Fred Van Vliet scored 14 points in the quarter.
Yeah.
Pascal and Serge got double rebounds, and you know, and I'm not taking anything away from Kawhi. Kawhi was a big part of us winning the championship as well. But you know, the other pieces that were there, it was a team game, right?
Yeah.
It was really a team game, and those guys stepped up in the big moments. You know, like for example, when we were down 2 with Milwaukee,
Yeah.
right? We were down 2. We get into the locker room, everybody's like, yeah, we didn't play great. Let's go get them at home. Like there was no panic, and it was just like, wow, this is something. We're on a different level now.
Yeah.
On a different level, that we have that confidence going in and so on, right? You know, and after like obviously when you win a championship, then you start knowing how to prepare for the long run. So if you haven't done it before, like there's a lot of things happening. Right?
For sure.
But once you win it, you get that experience. Okay, this is how we're gonna feel. This is what's gonna happen. You can anticipate all those things now, right?
Yeah.
And fortunately, we had a lot of guys come back, and I think we have the most guys with championship experience on one team in the whole league now, right? You got Mark, Kyle, Fred, Pascal, Norm, right? So those guys have
They've been through the ringer. So again, what you said about the quality minutes, right?
Quality minutes, and playoff minutes.
Yeah.
Like playoff minutes is a different level.
Huge factor.
Huge factor.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost a different game.
Yeah.
It's just it's like a defensive game, and your teams are scouted to every minute. They know every single play. They know every single tendency, and there's no hiding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything's on film. You'll be able to see it.
That's true.
Yeah. What was like looking back, and then we'll gear towards like strength and conditioning a little bit. What were some of the things that you like to apply in your philosophy, and things that you like to just incorporate for the organization? And this is like, you don't have to be specific with names and who you work what, but if you want to give us a little bit of your general.
You know what, like when you go that deep in the playoffs, we're just maintaining. We're not obviously not trying to get any stronger. We just want to maintain the level of strength. But I don't load the guys very much because like with the travel and the amount of games that you play, you're going back and forth every other day. So recovery is huge.
Yeah.
Like I think that's undervalued. Like I don't think we let our guys have a chance to recover more. I think that should be stressed more. Especially now, we're going to be playing every other day, right?
We have been,
and the playoffs are going to be a lot more intense, and you guys are playing the late games too, right?
Yeah.
Because you're on the West Coast, TV and so on.
Yeah. So
that's going to take a drain on you guys as well, players and staff, right? So I think recovery is huge. I think. Especially moving forward, like the deeper you go, you want guys to be rested, right?
In your opinion, you think there's more like non-negotiables in terms of recovery, or you let kind of like players morph into what they prefer, and it's a little bit of like a two-way street?
Yeah, two-way street. I'll let especially the starters, like, hey, how you? I'll ask them in the morning, hey, how you feeling? What do you want to do today? If we're gonna do something, we'll just do it very light. And I just want you to, basically get off your feet, come in 20 minutes, and then you're up. Yeah.
Cool.
Right. And then, so the guys that you do work on are the ones that aren't playing very many minutes or don't get to play at all. And, you can still focus on them and help them. But, you're really tuned into helping the guys stay on the floor and so on.
That's interesting. But it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah, two-way street. Yeah.
You're coaching with them, not at them.
Yeah.
But anytime, so you've been 11 years in the league, but that was the first time that you got a final to win a championship.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But like getting to the final, training the guys, and I know that you have your program, your master plan. To that point, you didn't have a master plan because you've never been there.
That's right.
So like.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What was your approach there? Like you just said, recovery was the biggest thing. But at the same time, you probably went to bed thinking like, what can I do because I want to win the championship? Is there anything that made you think differently at that? Second round finals and kind of.
I think the way I changed is we almost did less. the deeper we went, the less we did.
Less is more, right?
Yeah, less is more. And so, you know, you don't need to do 3 sets. You can just do 2 sets and then get your shots up and then get out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, coach is really doesn't want to, like, he wants practices nice and crisp and everybody's focused, but practice is short, right? You think it would be like, you know, going into the finals in long sessions. No, keep it simple, keep it quick, and then get off your feet. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so,
cool.
Like, it's so funny to me. And
because some other coaches are not like that. We need 3 hours to practice, and they take the whole 3 hours.
they think that's the chance to prepare, so they want to extra prepare when at this point it's
Yeah, and I'm not judging their philosophy, but I just, you know, after going through it,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you've never been to a final, like, you don't really know as a coach or as a staff, as a strength conditioning coaches, like, if you've never been to a final, you don't know.
Right.
That's a new stress. That's a new environment. You know, it's like you said, playoffs are intense.
Yeah.
First round is very intense. Second round is extremely intense.
Yeah, like with Philadelphia, like
exactly. Yeah, that last shot. I mean, that picture. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's like, I agree. I mean, it's you just nailed it. Like, that was the perfect answer right there. You know, like, less is more.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they can, you know, as professional athletes, it's very hard to change how they can get better, right? So it's like, hey, we're gonna jump higher. It's like, well,
we're at this level already.
Yes.
You know, to increase it by how much?
Yeah.
And for what purpose?
Yeah.
Right.
just the timing of it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to try a novel method right now when clearly performance is the priority.
Yeah. You know, like, sometimes, you know, I have one player that likes to do a lot of work in the gym and so on.
I think we all have one of those.
Yeah. But sometimes I have to stop him and say, all the stuff you're doing here helps you for there, but you need to perform out there. You know, I'm just trying to help you here, right? And you know, sometimes he does too much in the gym and doesn't perform as well on the basketball side. It's like, well, the basketball side is where you make your money, right? So that's when everybody sees you and so on. Appreciate you working here and wanting to do this, but there's also, like I said, you know, you got to know when to rest, because he'll do this and then he'll go and do this and then he'll go and do this, but that's just the way he's wired, right? So, like, he wants to work hard, but sometimes you need to hold back and just, like,
Pump the brakes a little bit.
Pump the brakes and just say, hey, this, and then some days you'll be like, man, I played so much better. It's like, yeah, because we didn't do this.
Right? You connected the dots?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's great. Do you, like, talk to us a little bit about, like, the beginning of Jon Lee as a strength coach, how that came about? I know you have a physical education background.
Yep.
You know, Vancouver, and then I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were a ball boy for the Grizzlies.
For the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah, and then talk a little bit about your transition.
So
moving over.
It's you guys have time?
I mean, we do. Okay. That's what this whole thing is about. We just want to, like.
Yeah. So I had a physical education degree, and then I was getting into a teacher college because I wanted to be a teacher at the time.
Canada Teachers College. That's right.
So, well, at the university, and I was getting in, and finally I got accepted to teacher college, and it was a 2-year program. And at that time, a friend of mine, I was at a friend's wedding, and the guy sitting at the table with us was the team manager for the UBC basketball team. And he got a call, and he got a phone call, and somebody asked him if he knew anybody that would like to be a ball boy for the Grizzlies, like somebody more mature, not just kids, that would take care of the training facility and do all those things. And he asked me, he's like, yeah, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
And So he gave me the number for the trainer of the UBC men's team, and then he gave me the number for the Troy Wenzel, who was the head trainer for the Grizzlies at the time. So I call him up and I say, hey, my name's Jon. I'd be interested. He's like, yeah, come on down at this time to the GM place, and we'll talk. So I go down there and like thinking of doing the interview and stuff. He comes up, Troy, Jon, let's go to work.
Just like that.
Yeah. We're unpacking boxes, bringing, like, GM place wasn't fully built yet. Like, all the walls in the dressing room weren't completed. There's like drywall everywhere. Like, and so we were moving stuff in while they're trying to prepare everything.
So this, at this point, had nothing to do with strength and conditioning.
Nothing.
You were just help the organization.
I was just, I was going through teacher college, finishing up, and then going and working as a ball boy. So I took care of our training facility in Richmond because I lived there anyways, and then just came down for games. And so, I had kind of had that job, and I had a couple other jobs while I was going through school and stuff. So. Yeah, that was kind of
That's amazing.
crazy.
That's cool. That's really
very cool.
Yeah.
So and then okay, you're a ball boy. You're finishing your teaching degree. Then how did the whole strength and conditioning starts to click, and you're like, I think I want to do that.
So one of the guys that was working at the Vancouver Grizzlies is Jay Triano, right? So Jay Triano was the head of community relations, and he was also the color commentator for the radio, right? And I just knew Jay from that, from being around and so on. And before each game, he would be like, Jay, I would bring water for them and like snacks, and like, you guys need anything else, and so on. And just took care of those guys, right? And one day he pulled me into his office. This is like, hey Jon, can you come into my office? I want to talk to you, right? I'm like,
What,
did I do something wrong? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I had just found out that, I said, before we start, Jay, congratulations getting the head coaching job for the men's national team, right? And this was in 1999. And it's like, well, that's the reason I called you in, because I talked to Troy, and I need a manager. And first thing I did was look back and was like, who, me? I literally looked back like, who, me? You want me to be a manager? And I was like, Jay, I'd be honored to.
Yeah.
And then, so
it's national team.
Right? National team, right?
Yeah.
And it was 1999. Not many people gave us a chance to even like qualify or even have a sniff. And then we go to Puerto Rico and blow everything up and knock out Luis Scola to make it to the finals. And beating Puerto Rico at home and so on. And after that, it was like, I'm going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
In 2000, I'm going to the Olympics in 2000. How crazy was that? And so while I was being a manager, we didn't have a strength coach for the national team, right? There was no strength coach at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm like, Jay, I can do some of this. Like, and I've got some
physical education background.
I can do it. So then, while we were getting ready for the Olympics, I was taking my CSCS programming, right? And that's when I got certified. And so after 99, we qualified. We didn't have a lot of guys that had, some of our guys were still in Vancouver, and they didn't have teams. They didn't have a professional team that they can go back to. So I started training them. And so, because I had the keys to the facility, so I'd bring them in and work guys out and so on. And then once I got my CSCS, and I just started training people. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, then we go to Sydney in 2000, and go to the Olympics and so on, and like, everybody talks about how great the Olympics are. But it's hard to make it. It's very difficult. The Brazilian team and so on, right? It's tough to make, Canada hasn't qualified since 2000.
Wow.
We haven't gone
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a good team now. A lot of players from Canada. Yeah, a lot of players from Canada playing in the NBA.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, so kind of recapping a little bit, from a ball boy to a manager to strength coach of the year for our association a couple
that's
years
right.
ago,
Yeah, that was a big honor too.
to an NBA champ. That's cool.
Yeah, so
That's amazing.
when my daughter was born, my daughter Quinn was born. My wife was working in the States at that time, and so in the States, your paternity is only 3 months, right? Or
Yes,
something,
yes,
right?
yes, yep.
Canada, you get a whole year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she can only take, she took all her vacation, all her sick time, and so she was able to stretch it out for a bit. But then I think she was able to stretch it out for like 4 months, and then so I took the rest. So I was getting paid to take care of my daughter. Like you get your paternity leave. And so Quinn would be like on my backpack, and I'd be training guys, like making them run. Okay, we're gonna run this now, do this, and then we get to the weight room. By the time we get to the weight room, I can put her in there for nap time and stuff, and it was great. Like Quinn's been around those basketball and all the guys I was training, the national team guys training. Took turns holding her when I had to go do something, changing weights and stuff.
That's cool.
Right?
That's
So-
cool. And she helps out during the games,
yeah.
right?
So last year was her. She didn't do it last year because she went to college.
Oh,
She's
I
in
see.
college
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
so she wasn't able to do it. But when she comes back for like holidays, she comes and helps out and so on. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is
So-
she a good basketball player? She plays basketball?
No, she does. She said
No?
that too much pressure.
Yeah.
She's a pretty good athlete, softball player, volleyball player, and she got the athlete of the year at her high school, and so
That's cool.
yeah. So following.
She likes the weight room.
She likes working out. Like,
Okay.
Yeah. So I got her lots of programs, kettlebells, and
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, she does. She comes with me to the field, and we do runs and ladder drills, and so I make her go through all those things.
That's awesome.
Taught her how to box a little bit.
For real?
Yeah.
You're the one that been
That's
punching
that's
the
right.
bags all the time. I walk by and
we
I'm
got a
like,
couple of guys. A couple of our players like it.
How long have you been doing that?
Just on and off for a
Okay.
couple of years, and I just like the mitts are great for cardio and
Conditioning for
conditioning.
sure. Yeah.
So that's what I do for her.
Yeah.
Like she gets a little bit mad at dad sometimes. It's a good way to get it out. Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And the guys like it too, probably, right?
Yes. Oh, we only have one guy that's really doing
Okay.
it. Yeah. But we have a heavy bag in there. We got the mitts and stuff.
Yeah.
And that player is teaching me as well.
Yeah.
So learning a couple of things from him too.
That's the thing. We have a couple of guys too that like to, it's just different.
It's just different. And it's a great workout. It's
Yeah.
a great workout, right?
And there's something about like hitting the
mitts.
mitts that
Yeah.
is just fun.
Yeah.
They just like it.
And then and I saw your post. Like you're a Brazilian jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've
How long have you
doing-
been doing that?
Ooh. So I started in judo originally in Brazil.
Yeah.
Did that for a long time, and then jiu-jitsu came in around I was 18.
Oh, okay.
Did that until about 21. Stopped for about 10 years, and then now living in the U.S. for the last 10 years. I started maybe again the last 4 years ago. So it's
Your ears
on
look
and
great
off.
though.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's a
you got-
little bit.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
You
on
know-
both of them. It's funny. My girlfriend calls it Bob. He's like, Bob is growing again. And now it's because it's settled, but when it gets like really swollen, like you can see it,
Yeah.
getting a little puffy.
So did you compete too?
I did one competition about a year ago, actually before I took this job, but hopefully I'm going to compete more. It's just with the schedule, it's
Yeah,
tough.
exactly.
I had plans, but then this happened. So, but I think the most important thing is just being disciplined to continue. It's funny, we had a meeting one time. He's like, let's talk about your own goals. And like one of my goals is to eventually become a black belt. And that's just like looking at the long term. I don't really care about the belt itself, but it's the accomplishment of like, because there's only one way to get a black belt, and that is the way to show up every day and train every day. So
Yeah.
that's just
That's interesting. I like. Yeah.
like I love martial arts. I think it teaches so much for life in general, that and the parallel with coaching is just there. It was a beautiful insight because at the time I was at Auburn University when I competed, and the fear before my match, like that, the butterfly, the excitement, like, am I gonna underperform? And now as a coach, I'm thinking of like, what's happening here? Like, am I gonna be too stressed out? I need to do something to relax. I need to focus on my breathing. All the stuff we tell our guys, right? Like, relax, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, I had to somehow introspectively like apply. And after the tournament was over, reflecting back on watching me as an athlete again, that was, to me, was one of the biggest, like, that's valuable because I know I can use some of these lessons on coaching, which to me is the most important thing.
Oh, good. That's a combat sport. That's
what I'm saying.
Because you have to be disciplined enough. Like, say the guy does something and you can't panic.
Yeah.
Right. You can't panic, and you can't get mad if he does something bad because you're just wasting your energy. So like you said, the calmness and has to carry through the whole match, not just like the certain moments. Right?
It was funny because in jiu-jitsu, there's a few ways to win. Of course, submission is number one, and then you have points, right? But you only win by points after the match is finished and is in time.
Oh, okay.
So it's a 5-minute match, right? But if you know you have more matches coming down the day, you don't want to take every match 5 minutes because now you're depleting yourself of energy.
Okay.
So it was funny because I remember this, like, as you're rolling, I'm thinking, this is going on points. I'm looking at the clock. There's still like 3.5 minutes left, and I'm like, I know if I win this, I have more match. So it's like, it was like,
you want to end it quick.
Yeah, because you want to somehow save your energy, but then the other guy's not letting you just take a walk in the park. So,
just like us, right? You want to win these series as quick as possible. There's more days rest.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you go to a 7-game series, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks.
And then you have one day after the 7th game, and then you already have the next.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, winning. When you win early, it's like I said, that recovery is so valuable.
Yeah.
Right? It's really important,
especially in this turnaround.
Oh, so we're talking about. Oh, so I became the manager with Team Canada, and at that time I was also teaching high school, and then
physical education.
Physical education, and then I actually taught at the same high school that I graduated from, Richmond High, and so in the summertime, or most of the national team stuff was in the summer, so I could just take off and do that, right? And so as the years went on, Jay, I did the national team till 2004, and then Jay went to Toronto to be an assistant coach, and then fast forward, Grizzlies left. I still had keys to the facility. So me and 2 friends started up a basketball academy, called it Western Canada Basketball Academy. And so I would do the strength and conditioning portions and speed drills and all that. One person worked on basketball drills, and then the other person was putting it all together for games and stuff. So all 3 of us we would circulate our players. You go here for 20 minutes, and then we just kept going.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
cool.
It was a good experience having just starting up a business. Right? It was tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's not as easy as I thought it would be.
But then you started with the Raptors.
So I taught high school for 11 years
in
Richmond High, and
while running the business.
Running the business as well.
Wow.
And then at that time I wasn't working national teams in the summertime anymore, but I would do, like, people would find out what I did, and they would reach out, and I would do like private stuff. And I had a couple of Michael Dickerson, who used to play for the Vancouver Grizzlies, he reached out to me, and he was in Seattle, and he's like, "Hey John, can I come up and train with you?" because he wanted to see if he can get a Canadian passport and possibly play for us, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we did that for like a month in the summertime, and so I had a lot of people, like even when the Grizzlies left. What was his name? They made a lot of movies in Vancouver, and then there was one, Darius Miles. That's it. And
I heard it.
Yeah. I think he was with the Cavaliers at the time, and so the Cavaliers reached out. They asked Troy if there's anybody in Vancouver that can help train him. So they reached out to me, and I did a couple of things with him and stuff like that. So, I never really advertised, like, come and work out with me. It was just by word of mouth, and people, I would just like fit the schedule. Yeah. It just worked that way. But the summer times was when I was with the national team. I was doing that.
Very cool.
And so, fast forward 11 years go by, and then Jay Triano gets the head coaching job
at the
Raptors, and he came over to my house for dinner when he was in Vancouver at the time. He's like, "Hey Jay, congrats!" And just jokingly, I said, "Hey, you need a strength coach?" Just like that, you need a strength coach. Just jokingly, he goes, "No, we're gonna hire. We've hired a guy already from Italy, Francesco Crisini." Yeah. So I said, "Oh, okay, no problem." And then 2 days later, I get a phone call from Rick Celebrini. You know Rick, so he's with Golden State now, and he's like, "Hey John, the Raptors are looking for like an assistant. Like, would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Phone Jay. Jay, what's going on?" He goes, "Yeah, this just popped up, and would you do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to try it."
Yeah.
Right. So, I told my wife, it's like, go down for the interview. So they flew me down for Summer League.
Yep.
And I had my suit and packed everything. And first thing we do is like go to practice, and I'm at practice kind of just watching and helping rebound and stuff like that. And I met one of the guys that I met there was Alvin Williams.
Yep.
Right. And I see him for the first time, and like, "Hey, you want to play a shooting game?" I didn't really know who he was. I was like, "Want to play?" So I have all these different shooting games and we continued that when we both got hired and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very awesome.
And I even continued some of the shooting games with some players. Like Terrence Ross was one of the guys that we would play like before every game. Like, "Come on, John, get up here."
Yeah.
We'd do it quickly. There's a 3-point shooting game. Another one called Swishes, and then the other one is free throw golf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we would play it, and like the story with Terrence. So if you win 2 out of 3, then you wear the belt, right?
Yeah.
And then if you win 3 out of 3, you get the crown. You get this, we call it triple crown, right? And this is so crazy, but and so when he wins the triple crown, all the guy has to do is like point at you, and you have to like do like a salute, like like you salute the king.
Like on the band.
And on the band, he'll be like playing. It's like, "John." This is like stupid thing.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'm lucky because I have these special relationships with different players and so on, and that's one of the ones that I really remember the most about Terrence. And we still talk about it. It's like when he comes in, I'm like, "Hey man, you're dodging me, yeah? You don't want to give the crown back. You can't dodge me forever."
This is amazing because it probably helps coaching, right?
Yeah, obviously, you guys have a great relationship with your players, and I think that's one of the key things about what we do, right? And it's not about necessarily the knowledge of what kind of lifts you're doing. It's pretty basic, right? But it's your ability to relate to guys, different guys. You're not treating each guy the same.
Yeah.
Right. Some guys, "Come on, man, you need to come in," or some guys you can yell at. Some guys you can't.
Yeah, that's
right. And I think my years as a teacher helped me for this job. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Because the program that I ran was for high risk youth. So I ran like a special program where these kids have been asked to leave their home school, and this was like their last chance for some sort of education.
Wow.
Right? And then they would do like, you know, schoolwork in the morning, and then in the afternoons I'd go out and find like jobs for them, and they would go out and just, you know, do half day of school and then find work experience. So then hopefully that led to jobs, you know, later on. But I mean, some of these kids were like, they were in tough situations, like, and you know, as years as an educator, as a teacher, like if you don't have the background with the family helping, man, you know, sometimes that kid doesn't have a chance. Like, you know, you meet some of these parents and then you're like, now I understand.
Yeah.
And then you're a little bit more sympathetic to the kid, and you just like, you know,
Understand.
you know, like here's one story, for example, like I made it a point that you guys you gotta come on time, because then that leads to your work and so on. So if you're late all the time, you know, I'm gonna get on top of you. So I was like, hey, so-and-so, why were you late again? He goes, Mr. Lee, they just turned off the power at my house. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Puts things in perspective. It's like, okay, are you okay?
Yeah.
Right? Do you need anything? Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no.
Is it? I talk about this all the time, the learning parallels, right? The life, everything else. But like those moments that you had with the special program in high school and teaching, how much that has prepared you to be a better coach today?
Yeah, I think, you know, again, it's all the different life experiences that we have changes, makes you the person you are, right? So, you know, I'm in this room with two great people, and you surround yourself, you know, you want to be around better people all the time, right? So, so that enhances my life experience. You know, maybe I'm being selfish because I surround myself with good people. I don't know, but
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with
that. Not wrong with that, but you know, it things that. So for example, just before I got the coaching job, I went and did my master's program for education, and what I learned in those 2 years, like, also helped me become a better person. And just the way to be more patient and to understand people, not from a black and white perspective. You know, like, you're a bad guy and I'm going to label you a bad guy forever. You know, you know, there's a reason why they're a bad guy. You better find out why. You know, and that's what that master's program taught me. That, you know, I was definitely a much better teacher after that program, because you know, I wasn't always just right or wrong. There's the in between too, right? And you got to find out what that in between is. So if I'm able to find that in between, then I can help reach that kid a little bit better, right? So
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You got more? You want to share more? Yeah. It looked like I was about to stop one of your thoughts, and I was like, no.
So how I got the job?
Okay.
Well, you're gonna take it?
There you go.
Well, so go down to Vegas, and then I interviewed. Like I had dinner with the team and the coaches, and then with Francesco, and then Francesco says, "Hey, John, I have to interview like 2 more people back home and so on. I'll let you know." And so told my wife, and I said, "Do we want to do this? If opportunity comes, are we ready for this?"
Yeah.
Right. And she's like, she was working at the time, and she's like, "Well, I'll see if I can work remotely.
Yeah.
And if we can, then we can pull it off, because, you know, my salary was not going to be able to afford. You know, we couldn't just live off of one salary.
Yeah.
Like, she had to continue to work and so on. So, you know, she got the okay, and everything was kind of lining up. And then I went to the school board and said, I want a year leave of absence, and they can just grant it to you. So after a year, then you're guaranteed your old job back. So I'm like, oh, let's roll the dice. So I got a year leave of absence, was an assistant. And then the second year, the school board says, like, if you take another year of absence, we'll guarantee you a job, but you won't necessarily be at the same school anymore, right? So I'm like, sure, why not? And then after that, they on the third year, Francesco went back to Italy, and then I got promoted to be the head strength guy, and you know, it was a little dicey because I had to commit either to this or, you know, have one foot back with school, because you know you work for 11 years and there's a little bit of a pension, and pretty soon you get to that.
You build something.
Yeah, you know, you get that golden handcuff type of thinking, I guess. But I was like, no, we're gonna do this, right? And so we fully committed, and then, you know, we ended up selling our house in Vancouver and finally moving to Toronto and buying a place in Toronto and so on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you know, like I can't say enough about my wife and my daughter.
Great support, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're working this job, you gotta have a great support system.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're luckiest guy. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
So,
what would be, in your opinion, like tips or encouragement or anything you could say to someone that's wanting to, from overseas maybe, that would like to become a strength coach? Or what have you seen as a trait of people that were successful that you're like, okay, this is a good quality to have as a coach?
you know, I think the best quality is, like, one, being able to communicate with guys, communicate effectively, get along with people, not just your players, but everybody else that's around you. Like, you guys know this. You're around together more than you are with your family, even if it's not a bubble, right? Yep. You travel together. You're on the plane together. You're on the bus together. You're in the hotel together. You eat together, right? So you gotta be able to get along with everybody on your team, your organization, right? You know, one of the things that when people ask me this as well, it's like, I just say to them, be a good person. Just be a good person. Have good character. And people,
feel like I'm in your mind.
Right? Just that's the number one thing.
Work hard and be a
Work
good
hard and be a good person.
We've talked about this all the time. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
There's no secret formula.
Yeah.
If you're a jerk, people know you're a jerk.
Yeah. That's
right?
true.
Jerks don't last in this league.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So, you know, you look at all the strength coaches in our organization. A lot of guys have been at their job for a long time. You've been with Denver for how long?
9 years.
9 years, right? And you're double digits soon.
Yeah.
Right? So
I don't know when, because next season is what.
You know, like, so for example, like I'll take it for example, Bill Ferran.
Yes.
Bill's been with Miami for how many years?
Yes.
Because he's a good person.
I agree.
Like, they love him there.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There's a reason
they
why.
Him retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
And we're not talking about what you know about strength and conditioning, right?
But yeah.
It's nothing about sets and reps or physiology. It's more about who you are as a person.
You know, I think it truly is. Like, you know, I can't emphasize that enough. Like, once you have that knowledge, and also at the same time too, the more years you do this, the more experience you have about, okay, he's looking fatigued today. You have that ability to just notice guys that are not as motivated or something. Yeah. You know, you can kind of, hey, what's wrong today? Or you feel tired, and so on. Yeah. You know, I think that grows with your experiences, and the more years you have, you can kind of figure that out soon.
100%.
Right?
That's great.
100%. And have you guys ever heard of the book called Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell?
I've heard.
I have not read Blink. Yeah. I've read some other ones by Malcolm.
Yeah. No. So Blink is kind of like your ability to pick up things because of the experiences that you've had.
Okay.
And you've done, right? So for example, one of the things they talk about in this book is fire captain would have these firemen in the fire, and then all of a sudden he's like, everybody get out now. He doesn't know why, but he's just like, get out now, and all the firemen get out, and then the thing collapses. And then they say, how did you know? It's like, it's not like, oh, I just knew it's going to happen. It's all the years of experience that he's had with fires, the way the fire feels, the temperature, the structure of the building, the noises, the cracking, it eventually adds up. And then that's your blink ability. And I'm sure you guys have it too. You go to the combine and you see some guys running up and down. It's like, this kid's an athlete.
Yeah.
You can pick that guy up, right?
Yeah. Even players game by game, right? So you know, like when a player is on, when a player is
pop,
missing like a step.
Yeah.
That's
You know, especially you 9 years, you got that pretty well now.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's interesting because you can read any data, any measurement, GPS or whatever, but it won't tell you what you watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like you look at a computer. I've done GPS for many years. You look at a computer and you see what a guy's doing. It's like, this is not matching.
That's right.
This is not matching.
So sometimes all that other stuff,
spider senses,
and that paralysis through analysis.
Yep.
Right. You get all this data and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, his left leg's something wrong with his left leg.
Yeah.
You better get him in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have that, and you probably have that when you fight. When you see certain guys, the way they, first 30 seconds, you know what this guy's about, right? So the more years you got, like when you say, when you get your black belt, you'll know right away.
So crazy.
And the funny thing is when you get a very talented draft pick and he comes into your organization and they think they know everything, right? They know how to take care of their bodies, they know how to do things and to train and all these things, and you just kind of like talk to them, try to teach them to do things.
Right.
And after a year, 2 years, all of a sudden he's back in the weight room, like asking you the same questions you tried to to teach them the first year. But that's 3 years later. Like you didn't waste 2 years, but you could have started a lot earlier.
But again, that's something they have to learn.
That's the experience that we were talking about.
They need to learn it themselves. Like,
yes.
I'll give you a pretty good example is Steve Nash when he got his 2 MVPs, right? When Steve first came into the league, when he came to Vancouver, like we'd go out after the games and just have a good time, right? Yeah. But then as the years went on, like Steve learned from experience that this is not going to help his career.
Yeah.
And so he really got serious. And some of my training philosophies have come from working with Rick Celebrini when he was in Vancouver still, and he was working with Steve, a lot. And on their days, like, hey, can I come and watch you work, and I'll just rebound balls for you, or whatever you want, right? And the year that he won his MVP, so here's a typical training day when Steve was in Vancouver. In the morning times, Rick might have like some hockey players, so Steve would get on the ice, skate and do some drills. Noon would be basketball and rehab and basketball movements and so on. And then in the evening, it's either another run or a swim or something.
Wow.
Like 2 months straight, just doing that. And then, his career takes off and has those back-to-back MVPs, right?
Hard work pays off, right?
Yeah. So
that's cool.
He went to another level, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes some players won't get it, right?
No, for sure.
So sometimes players won't get it.
Yeah.
They don't understand, and then all of a sudden they're out of the league.
That's what I'm saying, because that's why they say the average is 3 to 4 years, 4 years,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For an NBA player, and if you survive more than 4 years, you kind of made it. That's what kind of like not the inside joke, but like people talk about it all the time.
Yeah, but because every year there's going to be guaranteed 30 new people coming in.
Yeah.
Because that's how many guys get drafted, and they got a guaranteed 4 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? So 30 have to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe 60 if you talk about second
Yes,
round. But
yeah,
so roughly 45 almost guaranteed, and 45 have to leave.
That's a good point. Never thought that way.
So, you know, sometimes when you're speaking to a guy that's, you know, doesn't always is underperforming or doesn't want to work very hard, you know, tell him those stories.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a story. Like one of the things that I say to our guys when we were traveling and going to different cities, and I was like, I know you guys aren't a fan of conditioning, but when you're out here in the middle of the floor in this space, somebody's always watching.
For sure.
Right? And even though you might not get a lot of playing time, and we're doing conditioning, and you're slacking, well, that guy over there is a scout for whatever team. And if your name comes up for a possible trade or some sort of scenario, and they ask you, what's so-and-so like? It's like, I saw him working out, not a hard worker. Just from that one workout.
For sure.
That became your footprint, basically.
Right?
Yeah.
So you tell that to the guys, you don't know who's watching here. You're auditioning for 29 other teams, possibly. Right?
That's true.
And if that's the first impression that you gave a scout, that you didn't work hard,
Yeah.
and just half-assed it.
Yeah. And I mean, we are usually at the gym like 3 hours before the game, like in a regular season,
Right.
regular circumstances. But, and I was like until an hour before the game, I was inside. It's like general managers, assistant general managers. I mean, there's so many people
So
around
many
watching.
people
You never
everywhere.
know.
You never know who's watching.
Exactly.
And somebody's always watching.
Yeah. That's true.
That's good.
So true.
Right? So I use that and drop it on the guys that, hey man, you don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
You do not want to do this. I'm not gonna force you to do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
But
That's true.
someone's always watching.
Man, this is great.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
Hey, no, this is awesome. I mean, next time we have a couple of cold ones.
Yeah, we'll be here for 3 hours.